Ruth Rochelle. Welcome to the Coach's Journey podcast for the second time.
Thank you. It's great to see you again, Joey.
Oh, yes, same here. And the reason we're doing this lovely short episode is because we had a lovely question from Alex Swallow after our lovely meandering exploration a while back. He listened to the conversation in our previous episode, and what he said was, I would really like to have known more about what are Ruth's thoughts on the future of the coaching industry. She unpacked so many things. She's been so involved for such a long time. So for relatively new coaches listening, he said, I'd love to have heard an overview of these changes and how she feels and sees they are happening now. All her years of experiential thought. I'd like to really benefit from her wisdom and her vision of the future. So here we are. We'll take 15 or 20 minutes or so for you to really explore what that question brought up for you and how you might like to answer it.
Yeah, it brought up quite a lot because you sent me the question, and it forced me to sort of think about what coaching has been and what it feels like now. And to be honest, when I got into coaching, it wasn't an industry. There was no such thing really as coaching, not in the way we know it now. What had just come out was the Inner Game of Tennis book. And I remember coming out of my Insight One, and we were all kind of walking down the street going, bounce, hit, bounce, hit. It was very much about being present and noticing the inner world. And I think that there was a movement that maybe began with that approach to sports coaching, actually, which really focused on the inner world enables the outer world. And I think that is something that has continued through coaching. And then I think coaching kind of that approach mixed with like a lot of the human psychology movement that I was involved with kind of birthed things like the GROW model. And I was involved with Ginny Ditzler from Results Unlimited, who worked with Graham Alexander, and he was involved with the development of the GROW model. And there was a lot of focus in coaching and even in things like NLP that were really having us work on our inside belief system and state in order to achieve goals and in order to kind of grow our performance, be more peak performers. So in a way, it was quite linear, very focused, and it was really exciting. And over time, more and more people sort of started to really focus on using this like sports coaching model really into development, not so much into development, but into achievement, into becoming better at what we did, being more shiny and busting our achievement barriers. And then, of course, out of NLP, Tony Robbins came along, the master at peak performance and still the master at peak performance, and personal fame, personal success. So, yes, and that's still going, a lot of that is still going. I think somewhere around there, a lot of coaching approaches grew, and they sort of birthed a need it became an industry, I suppose. So there was a need to somebody thought there was a need to professionalize it. So things like the coaching bodies were developed, ICF, EMCC, and various others. In my case, Apex, which I
commission. I'm going to just interrupt you, just so we've got an idea of
sure.
What year? What's the timeline here?
Timelines. Okay, so I think the whole sort of professionalization probably came in probably in the 90s. I don't, you can probably Google the exact dates, but in the 80s it was all about performance, self-improvement, go for it, bust your limitations, and have a great life, be successful. And And it began to be something that companies wanted as well. So I think round about then there was a need to professionalize, and
Was this
or
in early
maybe
90s?
I think it was the early 90s, somewhere around there. And certainly during the 90s, the ICF kind of got established, and not sure when the EMCC got established.
I'm just thinking what you said, Shiny Happy People, the song. I mean, that came out around then as well, didn't it? And I really getting this, like, you were really excited. It was, and it really exciting.
Oh my God, it was exciting.
Then, yeah.
It was exciting. Yeah, it was a real exciting time. And the other thing that was happening, I think, there was things like the Festival of Mind, Body and Spirit, Findhorn. Also, this was in the 80s, sort of late 70s, 80s, where there was a sort of explosion of consciousness, I suppose, moving on from the happy 60s and hippiness into a little bit more grounded. Let's really blossom. So there was an explosion. There was also skepticism. I guess anytime you have some kind of expansion, there's a polarization. So I remember a lot of skepticism in the early days for this kind of thing. But yes, then it began to be professionalized, and standards, and also a birth of many different coaching trainings. A lot of them seem to be influenced by the GROW model. Again, lots of achievement type of things, sort of, what do you want? Where are you now? What's in between? That type of thing. Different ways to do that. So that was probably, and then certainly for me, I wasn't trained in business, but I got asked to do a lot in business. And the ask for executive coaching, leadership coaching, and team coaching became a thing. Initially, it was seen again in business as something that was, you have to be broken to have it. And if you're being given coaching, there's probably something wrong with you. And that's really changed into I want to have it. I'm valued if I have it. That's also changed in recent years. I'm kind of doing this.
Go on.
No, I was going to say I'm sort of doing this really fast because I know we're doing a short thing. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought there's so many strands to this. Even back then, that it grew. I suppose I saw an industry happen from not being there at all in that way. And I suppose there was the world of organizational development that also blended with some coaching and people and development in in companies. So yes, you were going to ask me a question.
Well, it's really interesting as we do this live, actually, because I'm glad you've named it, because as you've begun talking about it, what Alex Swallow has asked has unfurled all this other possibility of conversation. And I'm also feeling like, I wish we had a bit longer. So I think I'm going to give permission that we can go as long as we feel we need to. So let's
Okay.
take some time. This is what I want to dig into. It's a couple of things.
Okay.
We could jump around. So we're starting by looking back, and I feel that we might flow, that the way you're doing this is then looking at the present, and then we'll jump to the future and see where you think things might go. And I might jump a little because I'm noticing things like you've said about skepticism. And I was interested to hear how you say that's changed, because I hear different coaches who are in very different fields of coaching and different areas as well, where they coach different types of communities. And some are still experiencing quite a lot of skepticism. Well, for me, I experienced skepticism in my more kind of social world than in the working world.
Yes.
But I wondered how then you addressed that skepticism, if I can say it. and also it might be helpful for listeners to consider how to address it now.
Well, back then in the early days, a lot of the ideas came from America, and a lot of people in the UK were a bit anti-America. Stuff that came from California was like a bit kind of suspect. The other consideration that was coming in then was, why do we have to pay for this? This should be free. This should be service for people. It was like people must be making money out of this. So sort of, I don't want to be conned by this, that type of thing. And if it is really good, it should be available to everybody, not just the people who are like middle class and who can pay for it. This is my memory of, I was quite young and naive, and people would kind of fight they'd come to introductory events and they would fight with these comments back then. And honestly, I was very naive. I didn't really know how to deal with it. But I think what I would say and what I know is when there's a lot of energy against something, there's a lot of energy. There's a response. Something's happening, and it's tempting to go on the defense and the persuading or anything like that. However, I think it's more helpful to listen and be curious. And there is no need to develop and grow. Human beings forever have kind of been born, lived a life and died. And most people don't do coaching or development or anything. So it's like to make it available, to live it, to not have to defend it, and to hold a vision for the reason why we're involved. For me, I think naturally I found myself doing that because I didn't really know how to defend. But to me, the work was so enriching and health-giving for me and wholesome for me and the people that I saw going through it. No argument could take that away from me. It was a lived experience. So I think it comes back to the thing that I probably said last time, doing our own work, living it, demonstrating it rather than proselytizing it, to me, and allowing people their perspectives, because that's a human experience. I think it's very important to trust that that's coming from something in them that needs to voice that. So yes, I don't know if that's a good answer.
It was a beautiful answer. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that sense of just living it, just embodying it, just be it. It just made me think about an Anthony Robbins quip, I guess. He has these fast, meaningful quotes, doesn't he? I think it is what you fight grows. So when you said about the energy, it grows in energy, all of it, doesn't it? And it isn't necessarily positive. So just living it, embodying it, being it, developing yourself. All delicious answers. Thank you.
Yeah, and not as a bypass, because I really, there's, and even more now, I mean, if we're jumping forward, if you look at the world then was a sort of simpler, more naive place, I think. And maybe it wasn't, but we didn't know about it. It was less, when I got involved, I didn't have a mobile phone. Can you imagine? I didn't have a mobile phone. I didn't have a computer. We didn't have those things in the very first. I remember when I was typing the notes of what happened in an insight seminar, I hand wrote, and then I afterwards did it on a typewriter. So
I feel the need. We were talking about the word elder before we started recording, and I think there is this sense, Ruth. I mean, as Alex said in his question, he did use the word wisdom, and there is a sense of you now as one of the elders that we're looking to listen to be curious about, to learn from all that experiential thought, as he says. So yeah, that adds to this. A typewriter. Wow.
Yes. Wow. I mean, yeah. So this question of where's it been to where's it going made me think and remember. And, I did write a few notes, and what else did I just... Yeah, I mean, I think I've mentioned probably a lot of it, but yeah. It was a different world. So it felt simpler in so many ways, and the pace of everything was slower. So if we fast forward to now, the pace of change is completely unrecognizable for what it was then. And people aren't in jobs for very long. Job security isn't a thing. Security isn't a thing. Volatility is a thing. The whole VUCA world, uncertainty, instability, and everything from climate to war to economy to political. And even though maybe a lot of that was happening then, we know about it instantaneously. And the communication and the activation in large groups of people that will just be kind of motivated on the, online. And that's a whole different world. And my experience, though, I feel very heartened by the younger people I've met in organizations. The consciousness in a lot of those young people that I've coached is kind of the consciousness that's needed for these times. I do feel like humanity has changed as well, and the capacity to think across multiplicity and diversity and flexibility and adaptability, all those things. So I think the coaches of today are operating in a world where change is the norm. Change is the norm. It always was, but massive, fast pace every day, every hour. Technology is out of date. I mean, AI is now in. I did an experiment yesterday in preparation for this. I asked AI. I asked ChatGPT a question about talking of the word elder. I sort of put in a few things of what I do, what I've done, who I am, my age, and what should I do to position myself? I'm sort of confused. I'm at a crossroads. And I got amazing coaching content back just from one simple question walking by the beach. And I was thinking, yeah, well, so things like AI, things like scalable type of platforms are very much in the world of today in coaching. However, also the human disturbance that's happening around all the changes, and there's so much more of a awareness of how much trauma there is in people, and trauma-informed coaching is becoming a very big thing, and deep coaching. I don't think that AI a person is needed for that to hold the safety. I think if AI takes you to a deep place, there wouldn't be the safety to hold for the kind of bringing stability inside somebody's system. So to me, coaching these days, I think it's transforming from simply about performance and achievement into much more of who do we need to be as human beings in today's world. And I think there was also a shift into a more whole person coaching more recently, into coaching people at work to be better coaches as managers rather than simply project managers. There's been the world of adult development that's been came out of places like Harvard or with Bob Keegan, and then people like Cook Reuter and various others who are the whole action learning, Bill Talbot stuff. So developing consciousness, developing perspectives. I think I'm waffling here, but there's just so much complexity, capacity to really see the complexity of context. So what I've seen is, there's a lot of systemic coaching approaches that are being taught and trained. Whole person, a lot of mindfulness. How do we access the multiplicity inside us and the levels of wisdom and perspective inside us? How do we be able to regulate ourselves so that we're not swung by stressful situations and the immense ask that people have in the workplace of being pressured all the time, etc. I mean, it's complicated, complex. There's a lot for a coach to hold, and then how do you create your business in the place where everybody's trying to scale? Investment isn't really around. So again, I think these are questions really for coaches. I'm not really giving answers, but what I will say is that it's changing so fast that the people doing the work now are the ones to lead the way. And it's tempting to look at the authorities to lead the way, but actually all the authorities do is know what has happened up until now. So I think it's really people to begin to listen inside to the inner wisdom that speaks, and also collectively with peers to create support for each other's wisdom, to start looking for where do we feel led, heartfelt led to serve and to and to do this work, because I trust that humanity is evolving. And so the people born now are going to be the ones who are going to deal with the future. And they're born with the consciousness needed, I believe. Mm. I'm sort of also borrowing that a bit from Bob Keegan. I think he said something like that, but I've been witnessing it in some of the young people I've worked with. So I sort of trust that. So I think that people, with my experience, I hope that we would really support those people with what we have, but also encourage them to bring their own truth, their own intuition and insight into the future.
Oh, and that is a magical image actually in my mind of you almost coming full circle and now nurturing and supporting and creating the conditions for that kind of youthful energy in coaching to really help flourish. Because what you've said could feel very overwhelming because there are so many fast-paced, multiple moving parts all the time.
Yeah.
In our world, not just in coaching. And
that's right.
I'm wondering if there's something, I guess my question might be, letting all of what you've said start to settle, is there a way to move from this huge amount of complexity back to some form of simplicity that maybe the more youthful element of our industry might bring to this art of coaching?
It's such a big question. I don't know is my honest answer. At the core, human beings are human beings. And when we're at our core, I do believe that compassion and love is at the heart of our work. And that's simple. And to do that with ourselves first. And I think I said it in the previous podcast that we did, to do our own work. Because when we think we have an agenda to achieve something, to do so, to address the complexity, we can put ourselves under pressure. But if we can, back to the inner game of tennis, bounce, hit, where's your body right now? Who are you with right now? Can you take a breath? Yes, be aware of the context and the craziness, but actually the wisdom comes right now, right here, and to take a breath and to be present with the one in front or with the group, whoever you're coaching. Maybe that's the simple thing, to take moments to be. And then the reflection can happen, and then that's when the ideas come up. So I think that's the simple thing. Not always easy to do.
I actually am enjoying that this is a short episode because you have put so much into exploring and answering this question from Alex that I feel it would be I'm feeling quite inspired, that there is so much energy around this and there is such a history to it. There's such all this exploration and foundational work and how it's evolved through the decades and where we are now and how we may go into the future. Ruth, from what you've said, is full of love and simplicity.
And human beings are still here. While we're here, if we're still here, and trust we've made it through ice ages and wars and industrial ages and I don't know, all sorts of ages. Let's trust that the consciousness of humanity is has it. Has what it takes to keep going until we don't anymore. So I think there is a kind of cooperation with things we don't understand. It's like we think we've got to fix everything. So I would also say fixing probably isn't the way to go. Problem solving, it's probably more listening, experimentation. I know that, this is in agile thinking as well. But and trusting we've got it, and then creating the conditions for that kind of awesome humanity to be ignited.
Awesome humanity. I think that might be the title of the episode. Awesome.
Well, it is pretty awesome.
And Ruth, there's another thing that's threaded throughout all of your answer today, and that is the word trust. I think you've said that at least 3 or 4 times.
Have I?
4 times, yeah. Which I love. It's a really important part of all of this.
Yeah. Yes, I think the coach doesn't have to have the answers. There is a real trust in the wisdom of the holding the space. So, yeah.
Thank you. That was thoroughly enjoyable, actually. Lots of good energy, exciting answers, lots to ponder, I think, for me, having heard this, and so I'm sure for listeners.
Well, for me too, it's like just beginning to think, I forget that I've been around for so long and seen these changes, and sometimes I feel like, I don't remember that I'm sort of here doing this and getting excited by the next thing, but it's really rich, and then at bottom line, not that much has changed in a person, but the context has really changed. So we need to adapt, not adapt who we are, but adapt our habits and our rules and our thinking of how things happen, because they're happening differently. So but it's really I'm left with more questions in a way, having had this conversation. It's almost like, wow, this is a good reflection to think and to go, what is the future of coaching? Because there's so many different strands of answers, depending on if someone's in business to create a tech platform, if someone's in business to create an AI platform, if someone's into consciousness. There's so many answers. So it's like, it depends on who, many people, and maybe all those are valid, but wouldn't it be great if there's one higher collective vision that it all serves?
Just one thing, yes.
Well, one for the greater good, for the greater good of planet and humanity and whatever. Let's go down tech, let's go down AI, let's go down all of it, and let's see if we can have a shared purpose for the greater good. However we get that, wouldn't that be great?
Oh. Thank you, Alex, for the question. Yes, there's so much to this, isn't there?
Yeah, maybe you need a big sort of open space podcast with all the people you've interviewed, and have open space questions as to what could our collective purpose be that serves the entire global coaching industry, and that no matter what strand we are working on, wouldn't it be great if we're going, and it's in service of that, and we can use each other as resources for different things. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, I'm feeling your drawing now. I can see all your drawings. Need a big wall and a big space. Oh, that might be an idea. Well, I'll certainly feed that back to the team.
The annual Coaches Journey conference with everybody there somewhere.
Oh, I'm definitely going to make sure they listen to this episode, Ruth. And do you know what you said about elder, and you've come up with this, or somebody had mentioned it to you, and you also said AI, it'd come up in AI or something like that. And I think for me, there's this kind of energetic elder. You're excited, energetic elder. There's this, like the 3 E's that have definitely come through this. So thank you for bringing your lovely EEE presence today, Ruth. That was magic. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. It's really nice to see you again. And let's have a great day by the sea, both of us, in different seasides.
Yes, we're both very lucky to be near the sea.
Yes,
and we may be seeing you again, either at the conference episode, or maybe we'll invite you back for another question. All right. Thank you so much, Ruth.
Thank you. Take care, Joey. Lovely to see you. Bye.
Hi everybody, Robbie here, creator of The Coach's Journey, and just a few quick things to share with you before you go on to the rest of your day. Thanks for getting all the way to the end of this episode. I'm imagining that means you think the work we're doing is important and valuable, and we think so too. And if you love this episode, I want to tell you about two things I think you'll love. Firstly, I think you'll love my free ebook, An Introduction to the Coaching Business Flywheel, which you can get at thecoachesjourney.com. It's my attempt to boil everything I've learned from my years supporting, coaching, and interviewing coaches about their businesses into one simple model containing the fundamentals of any sustainable coaching business, the only things you have to do to have a sustainable coaching business, and the things that if you don't do them, you can't have a sustainable coaching business. You can get it for free at thecoachesjourney.com. And if you love this episode, I think you'll love the Coach's Journey community. It's my flexible, affordable group coaching program for coaches. You pay $20 or £100 a month, and you get access to a certain number of group coaching calls a year, plus one-to-one time with me if you're a full member, and various other benefits too. And of course, you get the chance to be connected to other amazing coaches on their own journeys. You can join the community at thecoachesjourney.com/community. Thanks so much to everyone who's supported The Coach's Journey over the years, but in particular, thank you to Alex Whitten, Alan Bedding, Jessica Jem, Nikki Marsden, and Vivian Ty for your ongoing support. Thank you too for listening, and we hope to have you back with us on The Coach's Journey podcast sometime soon.